so excited to tell you. This year, in October, there's something being released called Wildly Optimistic. Is that not the coolest title you have ever heard? I wrote a new book. I put my entire soul into this thing. This has been the most stretched I have ever been. I put my entire existence into this thing, and it's coming out. And it's coming out this year. Wildly Optimistic. It is a book about trials. And the subtitle is actually about gaining new perspective through life's challenges. And so every single chapter is a theme within a trial. So for example, I have a chapter when he is silent, when too much time passes, when it's not what we wanted, and I cover things like, is God really good? And so I talk about pretty much every question and struggle me and I think everyone has ever gone through or thought about when things are so hard and when too much time is passing and we're wondering, like, is he really there? And how else can I see this if I can when you don't think he's there at all? Or when you feel like he's not talking to you. So I am just like elated over this. I feel like my whole entire existence here on earth was leading up to this book. So I've been in contract to write my second book to come out this year for a long while. And it was really difficult to do because we needed to work backwards. So I needed to come up with the title of the book so we can my publishers can start sending it out and reserving my book for the slot for release in fall. And so it was really hard because I needed to name a book that I did not write yet. So it's like, well, how do you write a book if you don't know fully what it's going to turn into and what it's going to be about? And how do you name it without it being like limiting? You know what I mean? That was really hard. But it's actually Ben who came up with the title of my book when we were talking. And he says, I got it. Wildly Optimistic. I'm like, oh my gosh. Could you think of a better theme for me and the things that I'm going to be talking about? Well, maybe you could, but don't tell me about it because it's too late. Part of the reason why I've been MIA for the past month-ish, especially with YouTube, is because I got my deadlines way mixed up. And so I got an email from my publishers saying, hey, where's your book? It's April, it was due on April 1st. And they were sending me an email on April 7th. And I had only written 3 chapters and I had 14 outlined. And so when I say I didn't exist this past month, even ask Ben and my kids who live with me, I didn't even exist to them for this past month. There was a few days where I didn't even shower. I didn't even change my clothes because I'd wake up and I'd start writing, and then I'd stay in the same spot all day long until well past midnight, and I would just write. There's days that I wrote 40 something pages in a day because I had to. I had to just do it, and it was hard. You don't know what your brain is capable of doing until you really push it from sun up to sundown every day for weeks straight. It was like mush. Most days, I honestly didn't know how to have a conversation with Ben because my brain was on just overload. So I still have a whole long process with this book still, but right now I'm in a season where I can catch my breath and rest and wait for my publishers to get back to me until I start the editing round, which is a long process, just a lot of back and forth, but the thing is done. I feel like a new person.